What's up guys, it's National Master Dem Apples here, back again with another video, and today I'm going to be showing you this really cool chess trap for black. So this trap starts after e4, e5, some of the most common moves. Except after knight f3, we play knight to f6. Now, don't worry, this is not going to be some sort of Eric Rosen type trap with knight to c6, and we're not going to be giving away any free material in this trap. It's just a good old trap, and you have no risk playing it, unlike when you play knight c6 and gambit this pawn for free. So knight takes e5, and we play the very surprising move knight takes e4. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the trap that goes after queen to e2, black moves his knight back, say knight to f6, and then after knight to c6, there is an attack on the king, as well as the queen, and black is going to be losing his queen here. However, we're not going to fall for that. After queen e2, we're going to play queen to e7. And this is a pretty tricky move, because after a queen takes knight, because, obviously white's going to take the knight. If he goes d4, right, to protect his knight, we can just protect ours. And we just have a symmetrical position with no worries in the world. But after queen e7, usually they take. We go d6, aiming to take back right away. And once we take back, we can maybe expand in the center, right? So white has to do something about it. Usually they go d4 to protect the knight. And after pawn takes, they could take with the queen, but I'm going to show a couple lines of why they probably shouldn't. So after queen takes pawn, right, we're going to just exchange, and you might be like, well, white's up a pawn, right? How can white be worse? For example, they can't keep this pawn. So let's see what happens if they defend it, say bishop f4, right? We're going to go here, attack this pawn as well, right? And if they continue to be greedy, we can go castles, and we have a lot of threats. We're going to go f6, we can bring our bishop out, rook to e8, and white's king is going to get smashed on the file. The same thing happens after pawn to f4, right? We still go bishop f5, we still castle, we still have the exact same ideas. And yeah, white's in really big trouble here, if you can't tell. So after pawn takes pawn, because queen takes pawn is bad, we play knight to c6, preparing to just take this pawn right back. Bishop to f4 is what a lot of people would play because they're greedy. Now, another thing, you don't have to be worried about a move like f4. I know it looks imposing, it looks pretty scary, but again, we can employ the same technique. Bishop g4, castles, and we have a lot of compensation. For example, after castles, right, we're threatening rook to d1, which not only wins a piece, but makes white's king really, really weak, right? And so our lead in development is more than enough. Also, in the future, we can consider moves like f6, which, in addition to this pin, will probably win this pawn back. So this isn't really a worry. Bishop f4 is a more solid move, right? Because white actually intends to hold on to this pawn. I should also mention why f6 isn't the greatest move. And if you've made it this far in the video, I'm about to reveal the trap. Like and subscribe. Also, there's bishop b5 here, and things get really messy. And white gets to castle. So, the trap goes after bishop to f4, and we go pawn to g5. Very simple, we're trying to attack the bishop. What could be more natural? Now, a lot of people go bishop to g3. In reality, the only move is bishop d2 and bishop b5. We'll take a look later. But after bishop to g3, we have pawn to f5. And womp womp, white cannot take en passant because, well, he loses his free queen. And once the queen moves, say, I don't know, e2 is the best square, we have pawn to f4, and yeah, white already lost the game. His bishop is trapped, and we just won a free piece. And his king is still in the center. We have superior development, we're about a castle, but as I said, most importantly, white is losing a piece. Now let's take a look at white's best options, not bishop to g3. White only has 3 moves here. One of them, bishop b5, is kind of hard to see, but it's the best move. Now, here you would just go bishop to d7. It's not worth taking the free bishop, because after takes, bishop d7 is a very naive move, because it lets your opponent take a rook with check. But this is just to illustrate why this line is too bad to go into. So, the very calm move, bishop d7, makes a lot of sense here, and black is perfectly fine. He can look to employ the exact same strategy as before with f5, as well as possibly just castling. Another move that you should be aware of is bishop to d2, but in this case we just do the same thing. f5 gains a lot of space anyways, and more importantly, right, we've already forced the bishop out, so we are actually threatening this pawn. The queen might move somewhere, and, well, we can go g4 here. Just because in the future, right, when we take this pawn, we don't want to run into bishop takes g5. So we can throw in this tempo, and now we can go bishop d7. We can, of course, like, take the pawn here, right? But there's no reason to overcomplicate it with a move like bishop c3. There's this pin. I mean, we're perfectly fine. Say bishop g7, but there's no reason to. We can keep pieces on the board and use our lead in development. So something like bishop d7, as I said, is very powerful. We're going to castle queenside and probably take on here with a piece, so we don't have to exchange queens, and then we'll take advantage of white's centralized king. Another thing to mention is that if white ever castles kingside, he's kind of cooked, because we already got a huge pawn storm in that direction, and we're going to be castling on this side, where it's going to be safe. So, yeah, this is a pretty cool trap that I found. I've seen a couple of strong players play it, and I think it's really interesting. Again, this arises from Petrov's defense, where you actually take the pawn, for example, and takes, and we go d6, d4, take, knight c6, attacking the pawn, bishop defends the pawn, and g5. White usually goes to g3, because it protects the pawn, but then we have f5, which wins a piece. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye.